Hi guys, it's Kayla here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a book tag. I've never done a book tag before. No one tagged me, but I just wanted to do one. The one I'm going to be doing is called The Ultimate Book Tag, 25 Bookish Questions. And this is by Jean at happyindulgencebooks.com. I'll put her link to I think it's a blog below so you can see her answers too. All right, so we'll just get started. Number 1, do you get sick while reading in a car? Yes, it depends. If I am on a highway, like a long distance trip, then no, I can read all day, and I have. My whole life, me and my family, we go to Texas a lot, and I'm from Indiana. And because I have family there, like way at the bottom of Texas, and so almost every year of my life we would drive there and drive back. And so almost the entire time I was reading or watching movies. So when I'm on a highway, it's not an issue at all because it's just straight driving. There's no turns, no stops. It's just flow, so it does not make me sick. However, I have motion sickness so bad, like so bad. I had it as a kid. I still have it now. I know how to manage it now, so it's not as bad. But I can't just read like whenever I want. I can't even look at my phone while I'm in the car. Like if my boyfriend's driving and I'm in the passenger seat and we're driving 10 minutes to a restaurant, I cannot even be on my phone because I will get so car sick. I can't even look at him when we're talking, because looking at him and it just makes me sick. It sounds so awful. No, but I don't know. I'm very sensitive to car sickness, stopping, turning. I have to always be facing forward or looking out the window. So yeah. So yes and no to that question. Which author's writing style is completely unique to you and why? I don't know what that means. Oh, like maybe like which author's writing style is unique. Oh, I would have to say, I think I have to go with The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I read that book first time when I was in high school, and it was great. I loved it. It was beautiful. Then I read it in college, and of course, reading it in college was amazing because, I mean, we really got to delve in and rip the book apart and really analyze it, which is just so fun. When we did that in class, I feel like I learned a gazillion more things about the book. And one of the most important things I've learned is how beautiful the writing is. His writing is incredible. Like, I'm convinced that he was so careful about every single word he wrote, how he put it in order, which words he chose. I feel like so much of his writing can have so many different meanings. One sentence can mean 3 different things. And it's just the way he's able to weave it all together. And he makes connections in ways that I feel like aren't common, but when he does make that connection, you're just like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like, I don't know, like, it's just, he has a very unique writing. I have not read anything else by F. Scott Fitzgerald, shame on me, because I love his writing so much in The Great Gatsby, so I really should read more of his books. But I would have to say F. Scott Fitzgerald, solely based on The Great Gatsby. Question number 3. Harry Potter series or Twilight? That's really hard. And I say that because they're so different. And they make me feel different things. I would have to say, why is this so hard? I've reread Twilight a few times. I have not reread Harry Potter, but I do feel like Harry Potter is extremely rereadable, and I feel like there's so much more to Harry Potter. Not just because there's, 7 books? Not just because there's 7 books, but the world is so in-depth. There's so many stories involved, and it's just, there's so much to Harry Potter. So as far as story goes and the universe of Harry Potter goes, and I would choose Harry Potter because of that. There's so much there. Like, I could probably reread the series a gazillion times and learn something brand new, or look at it in a new way every single time. With Twilight, I tend to only reread the first book because it's just, I love the beginnings of relationships and love stories. So that's why, and it's pure pleasure for me. So as far as favorite, I can't pick. I just can't. But if they were to say, you know, you have to take either the Harry Potter series or the Twilight series on a deserted island with you, those are the only books you'll have, which series would you take? I would take Harry Potter. I would. That was hard. Number 4, do you carry a book bag? If so, what's in it besides books? I do carry, it looks like a book bag. It's basically like a over-the-shoulder satchel, but it could be used as a book bag. It's big enough to fit like a laptop in it. I use that as my purse because I don't go to school anymore, so I just have a purse, but I need it big enough to fit all of my stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff, but it has like my wallet in it. It definitely has a book. It always has at least one book, so I always have a book with me. It has my medicine, nail file, my Swiss Army knife, some personals, probably some like random receipts just floating around in there. I feel like there's something else in there that I'm thinking. There's some cough drops. What else is in there? Probably just some crap. I don't know. I haven't cleaned it out in a while. So that's what's in my book bag. Number 5, do you smell your books? No. I don't smell my books. I'm not a crazy book smeller. I know some people really love the smell of maybe new books or old books. I'm not like that. I don't love the smell. I can see how people do, and sometimes I'll smell a book to try and love it, but I'm not crazy about smells of books. But I am, I touch my books. I love just like feeling the covers and the pages and rubbing them between my fingers, and just, I'm a very tactile book person. So I feel like that's kind of the opposite, or not opposite, but the equal version of being a book smeller. I don't know. Number 6, books with or without little illustrations. I'm gonna say without, only because I do like imagining the world all myself, but also most of the books that I read and that I enjoy reading don't have illustrations at all. So I don't read children's books. I don't read fantasy, and maybe fantasy would have illustrations. Kids books. I don't read kids books, or young adult. I don't know. But so I would say without, but that doesn't mean I don't like them, because I do. When they're there, I enjoy them. I think they're cute. Number 7, what book did you love while reading but discovered later it wasn't quality writing? Oh God, I don't know. Because when I read the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy, I knew it wasn't good writing even while I was reading it. I loved it while reading it. I knew it wasn't the best writing, so I don't know if that counts. A lot of people say Twilight is bad writing later on when you look at it. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's bad writing. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I would have to say Nicholas Sparks books. That is probably my final answer, because when I was younger, I loved Nicholas Sparks books and I thought they were amazing. And then now that I'm older, when I read them, I'm like so bored, and they're very bland and boring. So Nicholas Sparks books, I'd have to say. Oh my God, my dog. Oh my God, Number 8, do you have any funny stories involving books from your childhood? The only one I can think of is when I was a kid, I read a lot, and more when I became a young, like a preteen slash early teenager, I really got into reading. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And I was a really good kid growing up. Like, I was just a really good kid, not a troublemaker at all. And I was listening to my mom and everything like that. But, so I never got grounded, ever, because I never did anything wrong. But if I did, I was really good at hiding it. But, I would get grounded from reading. Like, I would not do my chores because I was reading, or I wasn't out and spending time with the family enough. I was like antisocial, holed up in my room reading a book. So there were times where I would read so much that my mom would ground me from reading. She'd be like, you can't read for like an entire day or a couple days, and it was hell. Especially when you're in the middle of a really good book. Like, ugh. So that was my funny story. I used to tell people that all the time, especially when I was a teenager. All my friends and like people at school, they got grounded for normal teenage things, I feel like. But I got grounded for reading. And from reading. For reading and from reading. So that was my punishment. And it was a real punishment. So, yeah. Number 9. What is the tiniest book on my bookshelf? I would have to find tiniest book. My tiniest book would have to be this little guy. Perfect Pairs. Perfect Pairs by Holton Getty. It's basically like black and white, like couples from like famous movies and stuff like that. And it's basically a picture book. My aunt gave me this when I went to Texas once, because she, in her little powder room, she had a little table and it had all these little books, like even books smaller than this, and I thought it was the cutest thing. I was like, I love little books, they're adorable. And so she let me have it, so I've had it since then. So that's the smallest book on my bookshelf. Number 10, what is the thickest book on your bookshelf? God, I don't know. I'm sure it's one of my, it's gotta be one of my literature books. Okay, I think the thickest book on my bookshelf is this one. I don't know if you can see that. It is Literary Theory and Anthology, 2nd edition, edited by Julie Rifkin and Michael Ryan. This is a textbook, basically, that I had to use in college. I used it actually in a few classes. And it has just a bunch of awesome stuff. Because it not only does it have stories in it and essays, but it also has, what do you call it? Theory. It has theory in it. And like, I used it a lot throughout college. I loved this book, actually. That's why I kept it, and I'm going to keep it forever. But I think it's my thickest book. It's my fattest book. Big surprise. Number 11. Do you write as well as you read? Do you see yourself in the future as being an author? That is my biggest dream. That's my number 1 goal, is to be a writer. Well, I am a writer, but to be a published author. I do think I write very well. I know I write very well academically because I did it for so long, and that's basically what I studied to do, was writing and analyzing literature. But as far as fiction writing, I'm probably crap. Not gonna lie, I don't write enough. I'm writing. I'm getting better, but I'm definitely not as good as I read, I think. I don't know. Number 12, when did you get into reading? So I've always liked books. I feel like, for the most part, parents who introduce books to their children at a very young age, those kids tend to like reading at that age. So but I mean, that's not always true, but So yes, my mom always read to me, and so I loved books as a kid, definitely. But I really didn't realize I loved reading until I was about 12, 13, and I read I read my first romance novel. It was a historical romance, you know, the kind that's like old-fashioned, with the lady on the cover with her hair blowing in the wind and her, you know, dress, and then there's the hot guy in front of her with his shirt ripped open with his muscles gleaming. Like, it's really cheesy, but the first time I read one of those, I was obsessed. That's when I learned I could read books in one sitting, in one day. I just loved the love story. That's what it was more about. It wasn't so much like, because a lot of those books, there's a lot of sex scenes in them, and those are great, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't the point. It was the love story. That's the fact that it was all about that. I didn't realize how much I loved love stories. All the other books I had read before that, if there was a love component, I loved it. And yes, I can love and appreciate books that are not a romance, but as far as pure joy, romance. And so when I first read my first historical romance when I was 12 or 13, I was like, whoop. Yeah, that's when I really discovered I loved reading. Oh my God, number 13, what is your favorite classic book? That is so hard to say because I really love classics, but I would have to say, I'm just gonna say The Divine Comedy, because that has Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, and by Dante Alighieri. And I love the Inferno. I like dark, twisted stuff, and that's dark and twisted and fascinating, and the fact that it's super old, I love it. Like, I feel like I could read it and study it forever. So I would have to say that. In school, what was your best subject? English. It really was. Up until high school, it was everything. I was a nerdy kid, and I'm very smart, and I was really good in school. When I got to high school, that didn't change. I still was super good in all my classes and stuff, but English was my love. Oh, like, I looked forward to it every day. I just loved it. And it was the one class too where I didn't care at all if I was, you know, teacher's pet or the one who's constantly raising their hand, or because sometimes there's those people in those classes and you just roll your eyes because you're just like, oh my God, shut up, you know, or whatever. But I didn't even care. Like, that's how much I loved it. So it wasn't just I loved reading and I loved reading what I wanted to read. Anything. What fascinated me was analyzing a piece of literature, a piece of writing. So in my English class, I think like my beginning English classes when I went to high school, there would be, yes, we would be assigned books, but my favorite part was reading it and then talking about it, and that the teacher throwing questions at you, hard questions that really made you think, and it was like a puzzle to me. It was like, I don't know, there's something so fun about unpacking words and trying to think what they mean. Oh my God, I'm getting so excited just thinking about it. But that was my favorite. So in my English classes, my hand was always raised. I did not even care. There were times like when other people put their hands up, I would put my hand down to give other people a chance, because it wasn't so much like I was embarrassed. I just really I wanted to give people a chance because I want other people to know how amazing English can be, the literature and books and stuff. So yeah, but yeah. And that's when I really found out that that's my love, as far as, I mean, I love learning anyways, anything almost except for math. But that's when I realized, like, oh, I know what I'm going to do in college. And I always knew I was going to major in English. And I did. And I had a concentration in literature. And I loved every second of it. It was amazing. I learned so much. So, yeah, English was my best subject. Number 15. If you were given a book as a present that you had read before and hated, what would you do? Honestly, I would be very open and honest. about the fact that I hate that book. And more than likely, if people buy me books, they ask me beforehand what I want, because it can be overwhelming to try and buy a book for someone and you have no idea what they like. So if that ever happened and someone gave me a book that I didn't want, I would probably be like, unless it's somebody I really didn't know very well, then I would politely accept it and thank them, and then I would probably donate it. But for the most part, that won't happen, because people would ask me, or they know me enough to know what I'd want to get, or they just get me a gift card. Number 16, what is a lesser known series that you know of that's similar to Harry Potter or the Hunger Games? I have no idea. I'm not a series person. I don't really like series. I like standalones more. But the only other series I have read / am still reading is the Game of Thrones series. I would have to say that, because that's really the only other series I'm interested in reading as of right now. I would not say that they're anything like Harry Potter or the Hunger Games, but yeah, I would have to say Game of Thrones. Number 17, what is a bad habit you always do while blogging? Oh my god, my number one bad habit is saying I say way too much. I'm always like, yeah, so that's my favorite. Like, it's just, I'm constantly saying it's so annoying. And I have to edit it out all the time, and I'm trying really hard to stop saying but it's really hard. Number 18, what is your favorite word? I have lots of favorite words. I can't think of any of them right now. But just, there's so many great ones, like delectable. That's a great word. What about, I don't know. There's just lots of great words. God, I suck at that. I love words, obviously. There are a lot of good ones. Number 19, are you a nerd, dork, or dweeb, or all of the above? I would have to say I'm a nerd and a dork. Right? Yeah. I'm a nerd in my way, or how I think of the word nerd. I think of it more as like I'm nerdy academically. Like learning things, books, history, documentaries. I guess I really like learning. So in that respect, I'm a nerd. I can be a big nerd for stuff. I could be, like, I'm a true crime nerd. I know a lot of serial killer facts. Just, I guess that would make me a nerd. As far as a dork, I'm a total dork. But when I think of dork, I think more like silly. So I'm really silly and weird. So I would say I'm a dork that way. Dweeb, I feel like that's kind of mean, or sounds mean. Yeah, that doesn't sound very nice, so. And I don't hear that word a lot, so. Number 20, vampires or fairies, and why? I would have to say vampires, because I've read many, many books on vampires, but I have read nothing on fairies. Nothing. And I know there's stuff out there, and for some reason I have no idea why I just haven't picked up anything about fairies. That's something I need to try out, because I know a lot of people like books, or they like stories about fairies and fae and stuff, and I have no idea. So I don't know. I would have to say vampires, just because I don't know. Shapeshifters or angels, and why? I would definitely have to say angels. I think it fascinates me. Well, because, and if you think about like the Divine Comedy in Inferno, and how there's, you know, the idea of hell and bad souls and demons, that's really fascinating to me. It's super fascinating. And so angels are equally fascinating. So anything having to do with something as old as a religion like that, and you know, so many people believe in angels and devils and demons and stuff like that. So I think that's what makes it really fascinating to me. I love the concept of a being that's super old and that's been here on this planet or something like that since the beginning, or, you know, so I don't know, stuff like that is really fascinating to me. So I would definitely have to say angels. There needs to be way more books about angels, because I would read that all day, every day. Number 22, spirits or werewolves, and why? I don't know, that's a tough one. I've never really read many books about spirits or werewolves. I would have to say I would go with spirits, just because I haven't read that very much, and that seems a little more scary. And werewolves, I've never really been that crazy about the stories of werewolves, like shape-shifting werewolves, or I don't know, I've just never really been that fascinated by them. So I would have to say ghosts. Or what do they call them? Spirits. Number 23, zombies or vampires, and why? Again, I'd have to go with vampires, mostly because those are the books that I have experience with. I haven't really read any books about zombies. I started reading that one. I started reading the one I Am Legend, but I never finished it. I was gonna read World War Z, but I never finished. I don't think I even started. I've never read anything about zombies. Number 24, love triangle or forbidden love. Definitely forbidden love. That is so good, because they're not supposed to be together, or they can't be together, and oftentimes forbidden love is slow burn, which is great. I hate love triangles. I really don't like the idea of them. I just think they're awful. I like to think that when there's a love story, there's something about two people that it goes beyond just a normal attraction to each other. Like, there's almost something chemical or magical about like I like the idea that two people can be meant for each other. So the idea of there being a love triangle, I'm like, that just makes everything seem less special. And oh god, no, I just don't like love triangles. I guess there technically is one in the whole Twilight series, and I hated it. From the beginning, I didn't give a crap about Bella and Jacob and all that crap. I was just like, ugh. I just don't like love triangles. If I see that a book has a love triangle in it, I will not read it. Nope. I mean, I'm willing to keep my mind open. Like, if somebody were to tell me this book is amazing, I know it has a love triangle, but then I would try it. But for the most part, no. Number 25. It says, and finally, full-on romance books or action-packed with a few love scenes mixed in. I think I answered this earlier. Definitely full-on romance. I love romance. Those are the ones that it takes no effort to read it. None. No effort at all. If it's good. I do like action-packed books. I love stories that have a smaller romance story in it, where romance isn't the number one. Like, I definitely love those kinds of books too, but my absolute favorite are definitely full-on romance. So yeah. Alright guys, that's the 25 questions. I had fun answering these questions. They kind of made me think. Some of them were a little difficult. And yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.